It's possible to specify different video format sources to ensure that all major browsers will play your video. Moreover, we can add subtitles and/or captions to our videos. In this lesson, we will learn how to support multiple video formats and how to add subtitles and/or captions to our videos. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to make sure that you catch all tutorials as they come out. Alright, so let's get on with our second video tutorial. So in our last tutorial, let's just open this Notepad++. In our last tutorial, we learned about how to add videos into our web pages. So if we just open this, I'll just open it. Okay, let's pause that. But remember, we said that we don't open them like this anymore. We want to open them using our web server application. So it's localhost. Then there we go. And I'll just pause it. Okay, so that's what we learned, how to use the video element using video tags to add our videos. And then there's this inside, we can have our fallback text. So that's what we learned about. Now, there are two things that we're going to learn in this lesson. First of all, we're going to learn how to support multiple video formats. Now, why do we need to support multiple video formats? The reason why we need to be able to support them is because some browsers do not play all video formats. For instance, you may find some browsers not being able to play MP4 type of videos, whereas maybe other browsers will be able to play it, and some do not play, let's say, AVI videos, etc. Video formats. So what you would want to do is you'd want to take 2 or 3 formats that you know that, okay, people who would be visiting your website would probably be using browsers that support at least one of these formats. So you supply videos for each format, and then the browser will then go through your various formats that you've made available and play the first one that it's able to play. So to this end, we have multiple for the same video. The one that we were working with in our last tutorial, we had this intro.mp4, but we then created an OGV format, a web M format, and an AVI format. So how do you go about supporting multiple formats? Well, this is actually similar to what we did with audio. Remember, when we learned about how to include audio, we could then specify multiple audio formats. So it's a similar concept. So you use the source tag, and then you specify the source of each of the. So for each video format, you specify a source tag inside the video element. Of course, first of all, you have to convert your video into the various formats. In this case, we're just dealing with 4. So you would go, let's just close it off. The source, say videos, intro.mp4. That's what will make the first one. And then we say the type. This is a video of type MP4. Now, once you start doing this, of course, you no longer need the source attribute in the video element itself. So maybe I'll just bump this up here. Okay, there we go. And I'll just do this so that you can clearly see. So, oops, that's the video opening tag, bunch of attributes on it, and then the closing tag. Then inside, we previously just had the fallback, whatever will be shown when if the video does not work. And then we are now adding, before that, we're adding the source elements, with each source specifying a video format. So that's one. And then we add a second one. What other ones do we have? Let's say AVI. dot AVI, and it's a video of type AVI. And then we add our next OGV, OGV, and then the final one, WebM. Okay. I'm going to leave this thing muted for now, but I'm going to remove autoplay, and I'm going to remove loop. I'll remove those two. And then we'll come over here, refresh. As you can see, there it is. There, the video is still playing. I'll unmute it just a little bit. Okay, you can see it's still playing. So yeah, and remember a long time ago we learned about using this thing to debug our browser. If we come over here, you can see in the body, the video, there are our sources. You can see that the browser loaded them, and then it got to MP4, and this particular browser, Chrome, supports MP4, so it then played that particular video. So that's the first thing, and it's that simple as far as how to support multiple videos. So when you have, I'd say, about these 4 formats, if you have these 4 formats, you should be covered in most major browsers. So that is how we go about ensuring that our video will play in whatever browser that we come across. All right, now we move to the exciting stuff. How about adding subtitles, right, and captions? By the way, what's the difference between subtitles and captions? Simply put, subtitles, that's when you usually use them to when you want, let's say you want to translate for someone. Let's say your video is in English, but you want to people who only know Xhosa, but they don't know English. You want them to be able to read the subtitles and follow along in the video. That's what you'd use subtitles for. They can hear, that is to say the sound, though they can't understand. So you usually use subtitles when you assume that people can hear, though they may not necessarily understand. So you add subtitles. And then captions, on the other hand, it's when you assume that people cannot hear, for instance, deaf people. So you would add not only text, for instance, as people are speaking, you specify the text that is to be shown on the video, but then you would also, for instance, let's say when people are clapping, you then put there maybe between asterisks that loud claps, or when does whatever, you add more information on the captions, so you don't assume that a person hears, or when a person giggles, you then say add an asterisk there, the giggling. So that's how you add captions. Captions are generally more richer. Otherwise, in terms of how you go about adding both subtitles and captions, it's the same thing. But then you want to annotate it as captions when you are going to add more than just providing text for what is being spoken, but you are going to be providing text that defines even more than what's just being spoken. That's when you use captions. In our example, we're going to be looking at captions. So how do you go about adding captions? And by the way, let me specify this. If we were still doing what we used to do before, whereby we just open this thing like this, right click open, instead of having localhost, we would not be able to actually see captions in action. Captions refuse to be displayed when the HTML file has been opened normally. It wants the HTML file to come from a web server. So that's one of the reasons why we installed the Apache web server through XAMPP, which is the web server that we have running, which if you have been following along in the lessons as well, you would also have running. So how do we go about doing this? how do we add captions? So inside videos, maybe we can add a new, no, I won't create a new folder. So we will say new. I'll just put 3 dots so because I want to save it. So I'll save it under videos. So what we do is that we want to create caption. Our first caption will be in English, hence I use EN, code for English. Then I'll say .vtt. We create VTT files. There we go. And that is where you specify your captions. Now, the first thing that you type is web VTT. And then what you do is that you specify that, okay, between this time and this time, I want this text to be shown. And then, by the way, before we continue, I created this short video over here that we're going to be using. I'm just going to play it quick.
1, 2, 3. What's side?
So that's the short video that we are going to be using. It's about 10 seconds long. And then there's our caption file. So the first thing that I want to do before I continue, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to change. So I'm going to remove all these other sources because we just want the short video source, which I could still have just used the source attribute over here, but it's fine. I'll leave it like that. And then, of course, when I go live, I'd want to then convert this to multiple versions, multiple formats, and then add the other formats here as well. But we won't do that. So let's come over here and refresh. Play. There it is. Okay. Gangster me. Okay. So now the next part is going to be maybe slightly frustrating for you because I'm going to use a software that's not necessarily free. I think you can get a free version of it. The idea is that I could use VLC, right? Let me just mute this. The idea is that, for instance, I want to have something noting, whoa, scary. I want to have something noting that, okay, at about this time, adjusts hood at about this time. But you see, the problem with VLC is that it doesn't give me the milliseconds. It only starts showing me at seconds. Otherwise, I could guess that, okay, if this is 1 second, that's about that's about 600 milliseconds. It's not the most ideal. So what you want to do is you want to find a software that allows you to see exactly, like fine track a video. And in my case, I'm using a software called Movavi. I don't know if that's how they pronounce it, Movavi. You get it online, but then I paid for it. So this is a paid version. But I think you should be able to use the basic feature, the feature that I'm about to show you, without paying for it. I'm not sure. Or you could find whatever alternative software that can do this. So I'm going to drag my video over here, zoom in a bit. So now you'll notice that, okay, now notice that as I move this thing at about, so I'm moving it and I'm looking here, I see that this is about the time that I start, hey, let's say at about that time, 0.620. That's about when I adjust the hoodie. So I would come over here on my VTT file, and then I would say from 0 minutes, 0 seconds, point, what did we say? We said it's 620, so point 620, that's when it started. Then we use that to say from that time to, we know it will be 0 minutes. It will be still, we're not sure it will be 0 seconds. Let's see. It starts there. I start adjusting there. Start, go. Hey, go, adjusting, maybe up until, let's say, about here. Yeah, 1.720. So that's 1.720. So we want to say, we'll just use asterisk and say, maybe this is not even necessary actually, but it's fine. Just as an example, if you want to add more information, even though the person who's watching, they would see this, adjust hood, adjust hood, and then okay, fine.
1.
Okay, so 1 starts at about, let's say 2.5, let's just say 2.6. I think, yeah, we can say 2.600. So at about, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that. So at about 2.600 to about, say 1, okay, 1 will stop 1 over here, which is 3.160, 3.160, and I say 1. Okay, let's just put this to the test. And then now, how do we then add this? We add this using the track element. So we say track, then I'll say default, because I want by default this caption to be active. Default, and then I will say, let me start with the source. The source of it is found under videos, and it's captions en.vtt. And then the kind, this is belongs to captions, and then we say the source language, those are the attributes, and then it's en, that's the short code for English. So that should be it. So let's come over to the browser now and refresh, and I will just do that. Adjust hood.
1, 2.
There we go. So we saw that, and when you look here, there's this captions that's available. If I click on it, I think it should be off now. I've turned it off. Let's play again.
1, 2.
Okay, it's not showing. Turn it back on. Adjust hood.
1, 2, 3.
Okay. So it's working. So let's just quickly finish it off. So that's 1. We'll just say 2 starts at 3860. So that's what you do. You just have to go through it. Once you do this is just 10 seconds. You can imagine people who create subtitles for entire, say, movies or documentaries. We should actually appreciate. Do you see how long things take that we often take for granted? It takes some time. Anyways, 3860. So from 3860 to about to let's say to about, that's where 3 starts. So we will say, let's say to about 4540, that's 2. And by the way, I just use this thing. I can see that I would be speaking here. That's this is quite a cool program. Movavi. That's what I actually use to edit these videos that you see me doing.
2.
See, 3 starts here at 5.1. at 5.1, and then would say until 5. I'll just say 5.67. 5.67, and then at about 5.9, at about 6, let's just say at about 6 seconds, throws gang sign, to stays gangster for about quite a long time. Let's just say, I don't know, let's say until 7.3 seconds, and then here, I think that's West Side. Okay, West Side starts at about 7.85. At about 7.85 to about 9 and 9.010. 9.010, and that is West Side. What? West Side. Okay. And then I think there's a little bit of a giggle. Okay. At about 9.710. 9.710 to, let's just say, a giggle until almost the end of the video. I'll just say 10.820. 10.820 giggles. Okay, so let's save that and see how it goes. I'm just going to let it autoplay. Let the video autoplay. And I'll unmute it.
One, 2, 3. West Side.
There we go. So that worked perfectly. So there is our video. It has subtitles, so it's friendly to our it has captions, so it's friendly to our deaf friends. Now our deaf friends can enjoy our video as well, so that's quite cool. Let's play it again. Just to
1, 2, 3. West Side.
There we go. Okay. So now, what if now you know that the audio that is going to be checking out your video does not speak English, but they speak another language, say for instance Xhosa. So what do? You can actually add more than one captions or subtitles. So in this case, we want to add Xhosa. Then we'll store it in a captions XH file. So yeah, let's do that. So what I'm going to do is, let's come over here. I'll just copy this and then I'll edit this to XH. Okay, then I'll open it over here. So this is Xhosa. Now, of course, adjust hood. Let's say something like elungisa hood. That's Xhosa. And then 1 binye bini. Now you're learning some Xhosa. Oh, wait. What? 1, 2, 3. Hey, why didn't you guys correct me? 1, 2, 3. I said 1, 2, 2. Bad. Nyembini datu. Yeah. Throws gang sign. Say iphakamisa inombolo. West side. West is Ntshona. So I will say Kasem. How do you spell Ncho? Oh my word. Ncho, Kasem Ntshona. Okay, that'll have to do. And we'll just put exclamation marks both sides just for effect. Then say giggles, so it says giggles. Enyuba, ehleka. I think okay, let me say ehleka. I think enyuba. Hey, my Xhosa is failing me. I'm too much colonized. It's bad. I think enyuba will do. Okay, and then so we've, oh, by the way, you can only have one default track, so by default it's fine. We'll leave it as English, and then let's come here and refresh it.
1, 2, 3. West side.
All right. Now, if you come here, you see we now have a Xhosa option as well. Play that.
1,
yeah,
2, 3.
Missing
West side.
There we go. So now not only can we add captions friendly to our deaf friends, but we can also add more captions for multiple languages so that our content can be enjoyed by people from, different backgrounds, or at least different backgrounds as far as languages are concerned. So yeah, that's that's it. Basically, we learned how to use sources to support more than one video format. And then what I find more awesome is that we learned how to add captions to our videos using VTT files. Quite simple. You specify the start time, the end time, and below it the text that you want to be supported. Add that, and that's how it looks. And then you save it as a VTT file, and then you add a track element default to the one that you want by default. For instance, if we changed and said we want the Xhosa one to be by default, we could do that.
1.
So as you saw,
2.
So as you can see, it's now the Xhosa that shows up by default. And so yeah, that's how you add captions, which brings us to the end of our second and last lesson, at least for now, on the video element, which allows us to add videos to our web pages. You can watch other tutorials over here, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on tutorials as they come out. Have you subscribed? Are you done? Okay, cool.